All right, we are with Mr. Danny Leyva a day before, well, a couple of days before the game against RSL. Danny, obviously, big opportunity for you there, leading the midfield very likely with 8 absences, I think is what they're at.
Yeah, a lot. I think, obviously we have a lot of guys missing due to international breaks, injuries, other stuff like that. But I think the team is ready, prepared. We had a good week of training to prepare the RSL game, and I think there's guys that are motivated to play. That haven't maybe played as much as they wanted to this year. So I think everyone's motivated, prepared, and the team is looking solid for the week.
How do you prepare for a moment like that? I mean, you've had like some big games. The Santos game is one that comes to mind, where you were probably the best player on the field. How do you get ready when you know that minutes are hard to come by in this team?
Yeah, I think I've always said my mentality, I think, is what keeps me going. I think having that discipline to continue to train well no matter what. If you're playing 5, 10, or starting, I think it's always having the mentality to be ready to help the team out. I think that's what made the team so great. I think everyone talks about the next man up mentality, and I think that culture is a little bit contagious with the players and me specifically. Like you said, I think I've had moments where I've had really good games this year, and I think that shows. I've been ready. I've been doing extra work on myself to continue to improve and also try to continue to learn things. I think you learn a lot from playing in those games and the high stakes games. So I think personally, I'm ready to go out there and have an impact, control the team a little bit in the midfield with some of the players, and ready to go.
What's the key on Saturday? I mean, it's not just a big game at home, but with the amount of different pieces that are likely going to be on that field, what's the key to getting a good result?
Yeah, I think the key, is having, good communication, being organized. I think, especially the opponent we're facing, we always have to respect the opponent. RSL's a really good team, and they're looking to get into the playoffs. So I think they're going to come and try to win the game, and like every team comes to Seattle to do. But I think we have to try to impose ourselves, be organized, from front to back. I think it starts from the middle, from up top as well. With a good press, having a good line up there, and defensively being solid. I think we're good enough to the point where a lot of the players don't need much time to click, and I think everyone has a good connection on this team. So I think we're ready.
As one of the guys with one of the most privileged foot on the team, how big are set pieces for you in this one?
Really big. I think set pieces, more and more nowadays in this game, the side games. I think when games are close, set pieces are a way to unlock defenses to maybe get a goal, and I think that's kind of what I've been practicing at. Free kicks, corner kicks, trying to make sure I put in good deliveries so the other guys can finish those plays off. And I think we're growing as a team and practicing those day by day so we can perform it on the field.
When you look at yourself this season, where do you feel like you've made the most growth? You've certainly, it feels like you've gotten more minutes this year than maybe ever or last couple of years. Where do you feel like you've grown the most?
Yeah, I think I think technically, I've always been a very technical player. I think it's more just the understanding and the vision you get from playing in games and getting minutes. I think that's the main difference. Having those experiences in the games is different than in training, and I think I've grown in that area. And also I think defensively, I know people in the past have said that's kind of my weakness, but I've improved, I think, physically, stronger and quicker off the step, and I think that's shown in not only defensively, but also my positioning. I think I'm smarter in those decisions and can read the game really well. So I think it's just obviously being consistent with the things I'm good at and continuing to improve in some of the things that need improvement.
With the Snyder Burnells, the Stews walking around here, do you feel like one of the senior guys? Like, where do you feel like you're kind of at?
Yeah, I think there's always young players coming up, and I try to help them out because I know I was once in their shoes, and I think, like you said, it's always trying to be a good example for them, and not only helping them out, but helping the rest of the team out. And I think being a good leader, I think that's kind of a quality and thing that I've learned in my time here and throughout my development in football. So I think trying to be a good leader, whether that's verbally or seeing if someone's down, trying to pick them up a little bit, I think that's kind of a big thing I've done.
I asked Alice this earlier this week. What are your ambitions, right? Moving forward, you continue to grow, you continue to develop, you continue to gain minutes. What's your vision here in the future for you?
Yeah, I think you know, I've grown every year. I think that I've been here. I think my ambitions are still very high, you know, because I know I can achieve those things. I think, you know, becoming a starter, um, trying to cement my place in the starting lineup and impact every single game I play. And, you know, have a positive impact, whether that's with goals or assists. If I'm playing higher up in the 10 position, kind of in the pocket, or whether that's dictating play, you know, deeper in the 6 role. I think it's always trying to have that impact on the team, and also just try to enjoy. That's always been, you know, my main focus. I've had that passion since I was little, and I try to enjoy every game to the fullest. And I think I play better when I'm having fun, when I'm enjoying, and yeah, I think my ambition is always to win. You know, individually as a player, you want to be in the best teams in the world and win the best tournaments. So I think that's my goal, is continue to win tournaments, cement my place in the starting lineup, and have a little bit more protagonism, and continue to get more minutes, and continue to go from there.
Finally here, Mexico just beat Chile, right? Ovid Vargas part of that team. Have you been able to see it? What have you thought about Mexico's?
Yeah, I've been watching all the games. I like to watch soccer. That's kind of, since I was little, I always like to watch games and learn and see different styles of play. I've definitely watched Ovid and Mexico. They're doing very well, especially against Chile recently. Reed as well with the U.S. You know, they're going to play Italy. So yeah, they're doing really well in those tournaments in the U20s. And especially in the Youth World Cups. I know I played in one, and those are beautiful experiences, and it's always a different feeling when you play for your national team. So, yeah.
Yeah, and that's my last question. I mean, when you got Reed in the U.S., you've been part of the U.S. pool, you got Ovid in Mexico. Who's getting farther? Who does Danny think is getting farther?
I don't know. I don't like to decide beforehand. I think it's always, you know, you see, because anything can happen in those games, you know, especially in the international level. I think, Mexico's team is very, very good. They have a lot of experience professionally, but I think the U.S. too, you know, very strong, and you have really good teams. Argentina is there, you know, Italy, Spain did very well. So we'll see. Hopefully they both do good and make it as far as possible.
Thank you, Danny.